Hello, it's Kim. As you can see, I'm in a different room. This is the West Virginia house. So you can sort of see the door off there. That's a mirror that goes into a closet. That is an old hearth. The it's from 1900, this part of the building. And then another room is sort of added. So like the kitchen and that is on just another inch higher, but is part of it. So I'm very breathy. At least it will be for a few minutes. I'm been having a panic attack. Don't ask me why. I have plenty of time before my next engagement because I know the gentleman that is coming to pick me up is going to be late because you can't find this place. I drove him to it here only once, and that was last time. So felt like my lighter is one of those that you have to charge, and it just said not charged. That's because it took me so long earlier this morning. I was I was lighting Ruth. Yes. Right? Okay. So I was lighting her and she's burnt quite low down. So trying to like light. Um Pretty soon I might invest in no longer an electric one. They work for certain things. And certain things I'm like, well, I was also gonna burn a little cinnamon. I did hear before, so it's like not really. It's more like for ambiance, right? Like it's really for like love and family and friendship and all that sort of stuff. I'm looking for trust because I don't trust people. Um, that's like the thing I need to work on the most. And the people that I have trusted have all given me reasons not to trust. So starting over. Um, Starting over. So instead, we have the Disney, the Heart of Hallmark white flame. But it's supposed to be the black flame candle, okay? But they have it as a white flame candle. I guess so that it goes with the decor. And I suppose the actual candle was white, wasn't it? And just like the wick and like the flame turned black. I'm actually watching it on my phone. Hocus Pocus is a family tradition. And this year I'm not watching it with my family. I usually watch it with my mom and my grandma. And I mean, like, even the year that my grandmother died, we watched it with her. She didn't really understand what was going on. We're like, we're dying, man. Gotta do this. And we didn't tell her that it was gonna be soon, right? Um, but her dementia was enough that we sort of knew. So she enjoyed it. So now, instead of like like what it was when I was young, and this is such a rebel movie, I see my grandmother loving it. So that is the ancestral black flame candle. Now we'll just pretend about the cinnamon, okay? Burn yourself some cinnamon. It works very much like white sage. If you're like really against white sage, for there's a lot of reasons people are. So I'm not even gonna start listing. But if you are one of them, some cinnamon, burn it a little bit. It doesn't smoke quite as well or as long. But if you have a decent lighter that, keeps its charge or that uses yield gasoline, you got it made. Okay. Like I said, anxiety. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. There's also across the street. I don't know everyone yet. I don't even know who lives across the street, but somebody had um, sorry, I'm at a loss of words. I do this lots lately. Lost words. Too much going on in the brain. But it's like the fire engine, And like usually I'm used to paramedics, and I'm pretty sure somebody died. I know I don't know that. But like I'm trying to listen to the codes and what's going on in the intercoms. And I looked outside to see what type of truck it was. Because it didn't go away. But I mean, like it just went away. And that's like the real reason I did not do this. sooner. I was gonna do it much earlier in the day. I have like a halo of light. Must be holy today. Okay. So we're gonna start with the Lost Oracle. Okay, I'm gonna put this up here so you can see it. It really reminds me of Little Red Riding Hood, and I know that she just has the red hair into the woods, but like that's like the vibe, okay? Like I know it's not like a hood, but like that's the vibe of like the wanderer. Now I've gotten this card personally, and when I do personal readings a few times, found it's just an interesting card of being able to be seen. It says trust what lies ahead. But like you see that she is seeing that outcome, like that outcome is always already has found her and seeing her. Now it says, and it talks about a solitary woman. Well, we know that, okay? And it's supposed to be a setting sun, a sacred river. Okay, sure. But it's just this like the idea of that when life appears perplexing, this card whispers the weary heart and says that like every flowing river, the cycles of life hold mysteries and fold under the surface. Trust that things are happening now for a purpose. And that's where I'm going to end it. It's for paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. Really, that's just it. Just trust. Remember, I said I'm having problems with trust? First card, man. Trust. We are where we're supposed to be at this precise moment for a precise reason. We just don't always know it. Now, sometimes we know it in our bones. I was very angry for several days. And I have forgiven, but I know that I am supposed to go through with tonight, not throw a fit, and just be. And that's what I'm going to do. But I don't know why that is, you know? I'm like, okay. So I'm going to pamper myself. I did my nails, which came with my favorite hair. So they're not the greatest, but I suck them off. And I'm going to take a bath. And that doesn't sound like that much, but I'm going to literally draw a bath because I haven't had hot water here yet. And it's been over a month. I go back home to Laurel though. So, I mean, I have hot baths every so often, but here, hot baths are shallow and have only happened once. So after this, all of my pans of water and like my coffee maker, all that stuff gets full of hot water. And I'm going to dump it and like just make sure I don't scald myself, but it doesn't get very deep. And then I'm going to do a bath bomb and be like all pretty, and then that's how like it's one way you find yourself. You figure out what will make you grounded, make you feel you good. And sometimes it's wearing a black corset with cleavage and a lot of glitter. Sometimes that'll make you feel good. It is Samhain. It is Halloween. Glitter and goth gear. You got to find yourself though. That's not my job. That is paramedics. Scary. Sorry. If you hear more beeping, as long as it's not knocking at my door. All right, and this is disenchant. And like I thought that disenchant meant something else. They're using it not in the way that I use the word disenchant, like, oh, I'm so disenchanted. They're meaning to like literally take away a spell off of someone almost. So instead of putting a spell on someone, you disenchant them, you take it away. If you have like some type of unwanted energy, it dispels. You are protected. So can I figure out, well, if you're protected, right? See all that knot work there and all those thorns are covering us, are putting a boundary and a barrier between us. And like I'm trying to make this idea with my friend that boundaries are fine. We are supposed to have healthy boundaries. But sometimes boundaries are just fear and they're not healthy. And I want to be like, get therapy. I do. We're to avoidance. I try to avoid everybody all the time if I could. And then suddenly I have a lot of therapy, a lot of YouTube. And I talk to people and I'm better for it. Because like even those people that I thought didn't want to talk to me are better for it. So some of it is just protecting ourselves from ourselves. You don't want to get lost in a labyrinth. You can have all those walls up and get lost, or you can have them dispelled, have really healthy ones. Okay, but you can have walls up. There is no reason that you can't say no. Say no, but just not. Don't protect yourself so that you don't live. Okay, I've done this many times in many different forms, and I want to stop. And I beg everyone to just live. Dispel yourself if you have to, or hug someone and let them dispel you. You are protected. This was the first card I drew, furnace. Again, what does that mean, right? It says take action. And the first thing I was like, you have a stick with fire. You're burning the place down. But it's also you're putting fire to yourself. You're making yourself have action. You relight the fire within you. Passion. Oh, I'm sure you can hear that. I'm sorry. Embrace action and the fire and burn away things that are weakening you, cluttering in your path. That's like their version. I'm very much into the idea of, setting your internal self on fire and not burning yourself down, but giving yourself enough passion to keep going. Dude, if you can just give yourself enough to get going for 30 seconds and then another 30 seconds, I salute you because it is a tough time right. And that's not just without the politics. That's just with life in general, right? Things are going on. Things can be scary. All right. 29 phenomenon. Expect the extraordinary. And this is something that I find, well, it comes to me naturally. So I'm going to say it comes to poets naturally, but maybe it doesn't. I expect the extraordinary. I expect miracles. I perform miracles. I make it happen no matter what. That deadline that's supposed to be in 24 hours. And in 23 hours, I get it done. Pay for it, but I get it done. Expect miracles. It says extraordinary is in with reach. Illuminate your inner self, reflect on your passions, ignite your determination, and let the fusion of intuition and will guide your actions. Embrace the moon's reflective wisdom and the sun's bold radiance within. It mentions the stone archway as one of the portals of quantum possibility. The archers, like people that made it's again with the words, right? Archers, to me, it sounds like a bow and arrow. The archers were first created. Oh, it says arches. Interesting. Like arches. Okay, sorry. Sometimes Kim can't read. We all know this. So arches, when first created 3,000 years ago, considered gateways to the divine and symbolize a transition from the mundane to the sacred, an opportunity to step like through into the sacred. So we have that voice. It doesn't necessarily say it, but since we have that choice, we have to make that choice. We can step in the sacred, but there's nothing that says we have to. no one can really push us into the sacred. They can push us into an arch or through an arch, but that doesn't mean that we find the sacredness in it. Doesn't mean we find beauty. A lot of it is about how we see and interpret. And I don't mean like, oh, look, it's a bluebird, it's a sign. No, I might do that. I'm honest with you. But it doesn't have to be the way like sacredness works. Sometimes it's just sacred to sit on the floor and you can break down and cry and still have it be sacred. It's the same as like singing. Some people like singing is like the most sacred thing for them. It gives them a bridge to the divine. That's what it's sort of saying. Use this arch, okay? And if you really, really want to be like very like both poetic and everything else, go in between a threshold. Go into that doorway or your doorway, right? And just be in two rooms at the same time. It's almost like you're in two times. In my house, you are. One is 1900, one 1975. And if they're in both of them at the same time, you might be in 2024. So look for the sacred. And I would say you have to choose the sacred. Again, just if you want the sacred. No one's going to force you. You have to be ready for that sort of stuff. And you have to be wanting it. Okay, now trigger warning. When I hold this up, there is a picture of a snake. You're not gonna see it like oh my god. But there is. So if you're scared of snakes and you're scared of black snakes, which I have a phobia that I'm slowly getting over. That's like how archaeology had happened. I was able to get over my fear of snakes until my mentor archaeologist like he was hitting on the porta potty. I just got in there. I'm like, you're like, watch out for the copperheads, Kim. I did not pee then the rest of the time. Anyway, I'm not bitter or anything. Spiral. I'm gonna put it back down for those of you that are afraid of snakes or have some type of phobia. I'm gonna put it down now, okay? And you won't have to see it. It's spiral, time for rest and repose. It says life is never perfect, but perseverance can get us through challenges and seem insurmountable. My phone is going crazy, so I think that this is definitely like it chose to be this card sign, if you believe in that. Twist and twirl, retrace and flow. You are not grinding your path, but forging it and expanding it with sinuous strength now. You can see past your current predicament and move on with your life with courage and determination. But first, Spiral says you must rest. So this is being filmed in the fall, right? Winter is always considered a time of rest. I'm going to say this wrong. Like Hygge, Hygge, is sort of like that period of time, of that ultra relaxation and taking in winter and taking in sensations and taking in. And I have never been able to do it. I salute to those people that can, and I'm just suggesting it. I can't do it. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm Kim. I run manic, and that's on a good day. Not actually technically manic, but it's close. All right. 32, ancestral alchemy. Conjure your legacy. Okay. Just the idea of conjuring the legacy. I'm always after legacy. I am planning on winning the Nobel. People laugh at me all the time. I'm like, nope, it's gonna happen. Doing the work. That's the thing. When we're building a legacy, we have to do the work. Now, this is probably specifically talking about ancestors. And you can see she has fire. They really remind me of sickles, where you sort of like, we've already been told to like sort of burn away part of ourselves. And I say ignite. Well, I think this is sort of like breaking ancestral curses in Kim's head. You know, like there's no reason we have to put up with abuse. There's no reason. Um, okay. Well, that was the fire department again. It can't be good. They're out there. I was hoping it was because it's Halloween and they did something for the kids. I've never been here, in this community. I didn't know there were kids. Just all right, we're talking about, ancestors, right? And to have that moment, to have the siren go is kind of this fighting. Conjure your legacy. Ancestral alchemy witnesses moonlight meeting shadows as sacred transmissions between the living and the departed unfold. The woman engages in a ritual to communicate with her ancestors, and she invites you to recognize the importance of acknowledging and venerating death. In some cultures, death is seen as a grand adventure, a transition rather than an end. It is revered, respected, and integrated in the natural flow of existence. In my family, it is feared. Not by me, really, but it is feared. And I have like what I would consider almost death moments. Got so sick, like I have to drink water. And when you're throwing up and you can't drink water, um, I very much was so weak. I thought that I was going to die. And I mean, I expected to regret not writing the, no, plenty of projects to doing. I regretted not choosing love. So now I've been choosing love. And maybe there's a little less fear of death. 'Cause I wasn't afraid of dying. I was just like sad that I had like wasted some energy on the wrong stuff. It doesn't mean my writing wasn't important. It just meant that what I was supposed to be doing, like, really like experiencing didn't happen. So been slowly working on it. So what I mean like that, like, taking away some of those walls, not boundaries really, blockages. So I think that's what we're being asked to do. If you see ancestors within yourself, right? Like I see my grandmother a lot. I'm very much getting her white hair and, different things. And I see that I put up with a lot with my companion. It's so hard to call him a romantic. It's not. You don't have this great romance. And yet we are together, not together. It's not even a situationship. It's not a situationship. But I put up with him like my grandmother did my grandfather. And my grandfather was an alcoholic and abusive. Now, the difference, I think, is that it isn't necessarily about love as in like romance, but as in I know that I'm supposed to stay. I feel it. Stay right now. At least right now. You can always leave. Not trapped. She was trapped. So there's a choice versus trapment. So my point is that with the ancestor, I can see that reflection and I go, why am I putting up with this? So then I say, why am I putting up with this? To him. Usually I get a truthful answer. Might not be the one I want, but as long as we can keep the dialogue going, there's a chance for both of us to at least be happy now. to be aggravated, yes, but to keep going and to learn and to grow. And that's my biggest thing. I don't think my grandfather ever grew. Not really. I didn't really know him. He didn't talk to me. I sat in front of him. That's an ancestor thing too, right? But um, my friend, he's growing, sometimes slower than I'd like. But then I have to reflect. I'm going so fast that perhaps my thing is I need to slow down. That is communication, which if you look in like the different lessons your ancestors have had in the past, you might see them reflected in yourself or things that you've been through or things that you're going through or things that are, and how did they help like themselves? How did they not help themselves? What worked, what didn't? Now we are in completely different times, so it might have changed. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn some lessons. Now, I pulled two cards out of the love deck. Now I put away the love spells. And that's just because I would use the love spells personally, so I don't have a problem with them, but I do not want them out there. I don't want me being like, hey, use this oil, use this. It feels squicky to me. And sometimes that's not the case. I'll light candles, I'll light whatever, still light cinnamon. Um, but I don't know if I can really explain it. There's something different about these spells, at least, okay? Now, rocks for love. We have the carnelian agate. This stone will help you take your, am I allowed to say this word on YouTube? I don't know. Your S life, the next level. Call on a carnelian agate to clear any hangups you might have around love, S, or intimacy. The crystal promotes vitality and courage and increases trust and open communication within relationships. Oh, that hurts. I didn't read these beforehand. Oh, that was a dagger right there. Like, there you go. Can't both trust and intimacy. Right. Okay. To tap into the carnelian agate stimulating and positive energy, place this on your sacral chakra, which is located under your belly button, and lay down on your back. It will restore and detox the energy in this powerful region of the body. I would also look up chakras before you decide to do that, just so that you have an idea of what could happen and what you feel. All right. Another one is more of like it says love meditations. Okay. So journey into your heart. Our hearts are full of wisdom, but we don't always take the time or space to listen to what our hearts are trying to tell us. In this meditation, you'll connect with your heart. Find a quiet place to sit or lie comfortably. Close your eyes and imagine you're taking a journey deep into your heart. What emotions, desires, or intuition can you uncover? Be patient and listen to what your heart wants to share with you. If you have a black obsidian crystal, you can hold it in the palm of your hand during this practice to help cleanse your heart of any unwelcome energy. This meditation is especially powerful for Scorpio signs. If you want more like a protection, black tourmaline. And that's for any sign. Okay. The last one, and you don't have to be a woman, is the rooted woman. My pronouns are she, they. So I still, of course, go by she, but I definitely have that masculine in me. And sometimes I explained it to one person, I was like, I have that stupidity part in me. The part that goes, I want to jump on this. And she's like, the part that wants to die. And I'm like, you can go there. I don't know. So never take anything that I say when I say feminine, masculine. You can invert it. You can not use it at all. Just like yin and yang, as a lot of people. Um, yin and yang, I think is what I'm supposed to say. Sorry. All right. So we have the threshold. And again, we have sort of like the door imagery where you're going in between So I think we're being asked to keep going, open the door and go through. There's something waiting for us. I know that a lot of these cards also talks about creativity. And creativity comes in all forms between science and like poetry, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. I do jump on sirens and stuff. I want to take a bath and I'm really like and I want to put out Halloween candy and I'm like, goodness. All right. And the number is 7. So if 7 represents anything to you, 7th day of the week, whatever. Okay. You would know if 7 is a lucky number for yourself. Okay. And then you just go forward. Okay. It's not quite walking into the light, but it is another thing about trusting. And I would say trusting yourself. Reclaiming the feminine came up, which is one of the reasons I also was saying that it doesn't have to be like you don't have to be female to have like a reclaiming of the feminine. And I personally don't believe that feminine is what everyone says it is, but I also have a different experience. So I don't think that feminine is all this internal energy and pampering like motherhood sort of stuff. I don't think that it's also like I had like this, do you nap your projectile points or do you skin your hides? Like I think that that's not necessarily, yes, there might be a male female dynamic where you have like 2 groups, but that there's merging, like there's overlaps. And at any time, I think that both sides, if they are starving or they are in need, would do the other thing, you know, despite gender roles, right? So I think it's sort of like this like sacred feminine. It's sort of just a reclaiming of the soul by saying that we're whole. We don't have to be, like with the idea of the man and the knight that, gives up everything for the woman, but does not have the woman. Or, like there's so many there's so many different things that come. There's so many different things that come, like with both sides and like what male and female are supposed to be. And I think we're asking to be whole. I think very much being okay being whole, being okay having the feminine. Sometimes I am ashamed that there's a feminine energy in me. I admit it. If I am crying, it's because I'm female in my head. That's in my head. Right? If like my father is crying, I'm like, oh my God, why is he crying? It's so embarrassing. Who says that? And yet, somehow, somewhere along, that is what I found. Crying is bad and shameful. Therefore, it's female. Mm, okay, see how problematic that is. But that's sort of like if we then reclaim that thought, right? Okay, it's a problematic thought, but let's say crying is feminine, okay, which again, problematic. But then we reclaim it as part of us. I can cry. It doesn't mean that it's female or male. It's just me. I am crying and it is healing or whatever. Okay. So like that's my really problematic example. And it's even more problematic for me because I'm like, okay, we're getting there. Oh, I should say that was 15. 15, important to you. All right. 2 is rooted. And I I like sort of like randomly picked these, like cut the deck, that sort of thing. And I picked them out. But like the weeping willow is one of my favorite okay, not one of my favorite tree. If I could like lay beneath a willow and have, its tendrils upon me and die, had poems that were published that say that, but there's something peaceful about it. And I think we're being asked not necessarily to root ourselves down in terms of like, let's set down roots, although that can be a message, like got a house, but that doesn't mean that I'm like setting down roots. I have roots in two places, many more if you're thinking about it. But perhaps we have to be rooted within ourselves. So we have to put down roots within ourselves. This is who I am. This is who I'm trying to grow towards. Anything can happen and gnarl and everything else, but this is me being rooted. I am being calm, and trying to stay stable, like, I mean, there's a billion different reasons. And like one just popped into my head. It's like sober, okay? Or not. All right. So drugs are problematic. I'm sure YouTube is gonna love this. I'm on medications for bipolar, right? And anxiety. And yet, like they are addictive. So technically, I'm addicted. Technically, I'm an addict. So when do we become rooted, right? So when do we become stable, use just enough so that we can survive and thrive, okay? At the same time, we can't live necessarily addicted in the other sense, where we're never getting enough. We're never getting enough of something. It's gonna be love, this can be drugs, this can be alcohol, this can be anything, right? Where it's never enough. That means there's something inside us that we're trying to fill. I can shop all day long and it makes me feel good until I have to pay the bill, until I feel guilty about it, until I find I have too much stuff, until I buy the next thing. And it doesn't stop me. So perhaps it's just finding out what is in here I am trying to fill up. Okay. And that's like what I'm thinking for all of us as a collective. We need to fill ourselves, it's fall into winter. We need to fill ourselves, if that is rest, if that is love, if that is touch, is that whatever it is. Okay. We have to be rooted and within ourselves. Our last card is the crossroads. Tonight, that was 2. This is 10. Right? We're at a crossroads. This is a good card to end on. And I should say that it is October 31st, All Hallows Eve, Samhain, Halloween, 2024. In just a few days, the United States is going to make a choice. It doesn't matter which way it goes. We're at a crossroads, right? It's sort of like each of us, my year begins day. This is my new year. It's like the witch's new year. And it's my new year. So I'm not saying it's your new year. I want to be clear, okay? So if you believe that January 1st is your new year, this is your crossroads for January 1st, okay? The new year. This is our new year. We're at a crossroads. When we walk forward, where are we going? Where do we turn? Are we turning to each other? Are we turning alone? Are we going forward, backwards, sideways? Are we going a crooked road? It's up to us to decide. No one else is going to decide. Our ancestors are watching. I mean, like we had like the whole symbolism of the skulls and everything else in the other card. But it's up to us. Do we put up more walls or do we break our own walls down? We can't break each other's walls down, but we can hold a hand and see if they will let theirs drop slightly. Crossroads, choices. And some of it is not our choices. Some we'll have to live with. But the direction we go is up to us. With that, I hope you have a wonderful Samhain. I hope that you have a blessed year. Even if you start January 1st, have a blessed year. And no matter what, we're going to go forward. People will say we're going back into the past, and some people will, no matter what. Some of us will revert, no matter what. But it's always for a reason so that we can keep going. And as long as we keep going, that 30 seconds that I started with, and we can keep going. Stay hopeful, no matter what. Stay hopeful. Be well, peeps. Have a wonderful evening, a wonderful week, a wonderful year.